Striking college faculty will take a vote on a final contract offer by the College Employer Council next week, but the union is telling members to vote no. The 12,000 striking staff will have 3 days to vote. That's starting on Tuesday. The vote was called after talks broke down earlier this week. The union now calling for members to vote down this offer, saying the issue of academic freedom still needs to be negotiated. Over 50% of the electronic ballots need to be in favor of the new contract for this offer to be accepted. Meanwhile, students will remain out of the classroom. Coming up in the next half hour, our Tammie Sutherland will be at the site of a massive rally that's happening outside of Humber College. Striking college faculty will take a vote on a final contract offer by the College Employer Council next week, but the union is telling members to vote no. The 12,000 striking staff will have 3 days to vote. That's starting on Tuesday. The vote was called after talks broke down earlier this week. The union now calling for members to vote down this offer, saying the issue of academic freedom still needs to be negotiated. Over 50% of the electronic ballots need to be in favor of the new contract for this offer to be accepted. Meanwhile, students will remain out of the classroom. Coming up in the next half hour, our Tammie Sutherland will be at the site of a massive rally that's happening outside of Humber College.
Coming up next, we're going to be also talking about the college strike. The union, the latest union calling for of course, the Ontario College faculty to reject the latest offers, and students aren't happy about it, and they're sounding off. We're going to go through some of the comments when we come back.
Well, in this case, this is the collective bargaining process working. You know, this is what the hard thing to understand is that you negotiate, negotiations break off, you give notice you're going to walk out, there's a strike, you may have more talks, they break off, et cetera, et cetera. But it's still not what parents and students are angry about at all. They're just saying enough's enough. We don't care about the bargaining process. We want our kids back in school. And anger was boiling over yesterday.
And this is the tough part, right? The students here are the ones who are ultimately losing out. They're the ones sitting here waiting to go back to class. And it feels like we've been having this conversation for weeks and weeks and weeks now. But what is next? And, you know, the latest saying, the union calling for the Ontario College faculty to reject the latest offer. And
when talks broke off, the college employer said, that's it. We want the union to vote on the final offer, the same final offer that was offered weeks ago when talks broke off.
And at what point do we say, you know, does the government need to step in? Yeah. So people have been commenting. Let's take a look at some of those comments. Carrie sending us a tweet saying, you know, does anyone feel for the contract workers? No job security, no respect. Examine both sides before you pass judgment. So Carrie feeling for the contract teachers. Mateo, yes, but not at the expense of my 2 children who have paid for a service that they are not receiving. Students are ultimately the losers in all of this.
This is not a labor dispute at a car manufacturer. It's not a labor dispute for baggage handlers at Pearson. People have other choices in that case. It's not going to alter their lives. We're talking 500,000 people who are going through anxiety, who are having to rearrange their entire lives, in some cases lose opportunities. This is different. This is different. Well, I'm very much in favor of the collective bargaining process. The government right now is standing there, and they're not thinking of the students either. Like, nobody's thinking of the students. They're saying, wait a minute, if we legislate them back to work, the union's going to be mad. If we don't, the college employer's going to be mad. We're going to lose votes there. That's all they're thinking about. Nobody.
Where do the students fit into that equation?
Nobody is thinking about the students. And you know what? And the faculty right now, I know you're getting mad at me. You're yelling at me. You're saying we're doing this for the students. If you were doing this for the students, you would still be at the table.
And the one thing that I read online, too, that was really interesting is the mental health factor that plays into students and also the people, everybody who's affected. But we're not taking that into consideration as well because, all of this is creating a lot of anxiety for students. Mark saying it's a labor dispute until the government takes away the right to strike. This can happen, and it will continue to happen. So, until then, we're just going to be here waiting to see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Boy, oh boy, we're into week 4, my friends.
All right, to other news now. A rally planned at Humber College as striking faculty prepare to vote on a final contract offer, but the union is telling its members to vote no. Tammie Sutherland live right now at Humber College, and you've already been speaking to many people this morning.
Yeah, that's right, Melanie. If you take a look behind me, it's been about 15 minutes since the rally itself began. What they're doing is still picketing at 4 of the gates surrounding Humber College, calling for the College Employer Council to come back to the bargaining table to negotiate an agreement. And we did speak to one of the striking faculty members who say that they were very close on Monday to reaching a deal.
I think we're trying to express our extreme disappointment and dissatisfaction with what has taken place in the last few days. We were very close to a negotiated settlement as late as Monday, and the colleges pulled the plug and said we want a ratification vote on an offer. I think people here are very prepared to vote no.
So 2 days ago, talks broke down between OPSU, the union representing about 12,000 faculty members, and the College Employer Council. They are now calling for a vote to be held, which is scheduled for 3 days next week, starting Tuesday. The membership, though, apparently most of them are going to be voting this down. That's what OPSU has recommended for their membership. We'll see what those results when they come through next week. Of course, this rally here that's already began is set to continue until 10 o'clock this morning. Melanie, I'll send it back to you for now.
All right, Tammie, thank you for that. To other news now, a rally planned at Humber College as striking college faculty prepare to vote on a final contract offer. But the union is telling their members to vote no. Here's Tammie Sutherland with more and reaction already this morning, Tammie.
Yeah, that's right, Melanie. The rally has started. It's a mass picket here at Humber College. And the reason behind the rally, OPSU calling for their employer to come back to the bargaining table. And this comes 2 days after talks broke down between the union and the College Employer Council. I'm joined now by Bob Bolf. He's the president of OPSU Local 562. Bob, we know that this ratification vote is going to start next week, but it puts off getting back into the classroom for at least another week. What do you say to the students who are waiting to get back in?
What I say to the students is ask for your money back. Ask for your money back because you've lost at least 4 weeks and now an additional week because of the forced ratification vote. This offer is pretty much the same as what was tabled on October 10th. So now we've had to wait 4 weeks. Students have had to wait 4 weeks and possibly 5 weeks on an offer that could have been voted on 4 weeks ago. And we've always told management, if that's your offer, bring it to the faculty, but they've delayed, and they put students at risk.
Well, now the council's also asking for faculty to suspend the strike in the meantime while the vote's being counted. Any chance that may happen?
No. We're on strike, and we're on strike until there's some kind of a settlement. And we're going to continue to be on strike until the vote is made, and even after the vote is made, because we're urging our members to vote no, and we have a lot of support from our members to vote no. This is a bad deal for faculty, and more importantly, it's a bad deal for students.
All right, thank you very much. The council saying that this is their final offer because this is the best that they could do, saying that they could not reach a deal as it stood on Monday at all. The ratification vote is set to start next Tuesday. Melanie, I'll send it back to you for now.
We also continue to follow what's happening with the striking college faculty. They are going to be taking a vote on a final contract offer by the College Employer Council. That's now happening next week. But the union telling their members to vote no. The 12,000 striking staff will have 3 days to start voting, and that begins Tuesday. The vote was called after talks broke down earlier this week. The union is now calling for members to vote down this offer, saying the issue of academic freedom still needs to be negotiated. Over 50% of the electronic ballots need to be in favor of the new contract for this offer to be accepted. Meanwhile, students will remain out of the classroom.
To return to the bargaining table. I'm Tammie Sutherland at Humber College, where striking college faculty are holding a mass picket calling for talks to resume in the month-long strike.
Well, we are now into week 4 of the college faculty strike, and now the College Employer Council making a final offer for the faculty to vote on. But the union is telling members to vote down that new contract. Right now, the union is holding a rally outside of Humber College, and that is where we find our Tammie Sutherland. Good morning.
Good morning, Melanie. It's more of a mass picket that's being held here in front of Humber College. Teachers now blocking 4 entrances to the college itself. They're calling for both sides to return to the bargaining table just 2 days after talks broke down. The College Employer Council, well, they are calling for a vote, which is now scheduled to happen next week. Meanwhile, OPSU saying that they don't want to vote, and if they are forced to, they're recommending that their membership vote down this final contract offer that's being made by their employer. Now, what this does is leave another 500,000 students out of the classrooms for at least another week. Again, we don't know how this is going to affect their fall semester, but they've already been out for a month, and many students wondering when they can return to the classrooms themselves. Now, this vote is set to start on Tuesday of next week. It'll go until Thursday, and then it'll take a couple of days for them to count that result. It only takes just over 50% for that contract, 50% of the members to say yes for that contract to be considered accepted. For now, we'll find out next week whether or not that will be the case. Mel, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah.
Other news right now, anger. I noticed a distinct change in social media yesterday through all platforms of social media from students and from students and from parents alike, and that is anger now. The college strike, as we know, now dragging on after talks broke off. There's a call right now for the faculty ordered to vote on the final offer. The union is saying to the faculty, urging them to turn it down. So without government legislation, it is unlikely that we will see college back in at all this week, maybe not even next week. We talk, once we get government involved, it could take 8 to 10 days before we see some results.
As you said, tempers are flaring. They're saying enough is enough. It's been over a month, and it's affecting over 500,000 people. Yeah,
we need to talk about this when this is all done. We need to talk about this.
How long should this be able to go on?
And how the lack of voice for the students is just unbelievable what's going on. You make things happen here on Breakfast Television. One of the things you do is decide on what is trending. And I will tell you, again, I noticed this marked difference yesterday in social media. People are angry. Parents and students have now said they're fed up. They've had enough of the college strike.
And you're really starting to see what types of people are being affected by this. You know, of course, we're hearing a lot of the stories of the faculty and the teachers and the instructors being affected, but also the students, and not just current students, but incoming students, outgoing students.
They're about to have their open houses. They've put out, they had a big fair the other day about come to our college.
Yeah, and Trevor's saying realistically there are sadly almost no way. There's no way of salvaging the semester. That's speaking as a student in the engineering program. We won't be able to do much learning, and you'll ultimately be rushing to just meet the deadline to get out of the semester.
Do you know what I got a lot of yesterday too? Stress, anxiety tweets. People who were just saying this is taking a toll on my mental health and well-being.
Yeah. Because they have to be left hanging day to day. Yeah. It's not like they can go home if they're staying in residence.
Chris saying my child is going to miss her co-op placement if this doesn't get settled. So you can see co-op placements are being affected. Angela saying it not only affects the college students but high school students as well as they're getting ready for college. My daughter's high school cooking program was supposed to go to George Brown, but now they're going to have to miss out due to the strike. So they're not going to be able to really feel out for whether this whether George Brown or other schools would be right for them. So affecting a lot of high school